only mode.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Brad Martz. I'm the Manager of Education Programs at NRCA. Today's webinar is a presentation by Heidi Ellsworth and is part 2 of a 4-part series on sales and marketing for your roofing business. Today's discussion will focus on generating leads for roofing contractors. Heidi has worked in the roofing industry for over 20 years. She recently launched HJE Consulting Group, which focuses on supporting overall marketing strategies and implementation, along with providing consulting to build strong collaboration between sales and marketing teams for business profitability and success. Heidi serves on the boards of the Western States Roofing Contractors Association and Florida Roofing and Sheet Metal Contractors Association, and she also recently helped found the National Women in Roofing Association, where she serves as chairperson for the organization. One final note, NRCA is now offering its contractor members sales and marketing consultation through HJE Consulting, and these members now have the opportunity for a 30-minute consultation call with Heidi, supported by ongoing sales and marketing articles, webinars, and seminars. Before I turn it over to Heidi, I want to point out you do have an option to ask questions during today's presentation. You should have a chat box or questions box on your control panel. If you have a question for Heidi at any point during today's webinar, please enter it there, and Heidi will address your question at the end of her presentation. Heidi, at long last, with that said, I will let you take it from here.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm very honored to be a part of the NRCA webinars and very excited to share with you some thoughts, ideas, and possibly strategies for generating leads for your business. We will have a poll that is going to go up here momentarily that will talk about, ask a little bit about your business, if you are commercial, residential, or both. That kind of helps too as we go through, because I will be talking about all different types of leads, whether it is for commercial buildings, or commercial roofing contractors, or for residential roofing contractors, or for many of you who do both. And as Brad said, this is the second of 4 webinars. In our last webinar, we really talked about evaluating your marketing programs. And that was to help you get started. This one, we will focus on generating leads and some of the strategies around that. Our next webinar will also be September 22nd, where we'll continue down this path of really talking about sales and marketing and how they work together. So let's get started. As many of you are seeing the poll up there, we're going to talk a little bit before we close that poll about, oh, maybe not. I think we have the poll up here. Let me just pull that up for us.
Sorry about that, Heidi. Do you see the results?
I do. We have 67% are commercial, 5% are residential, and 29% are both. Thank you very much, everyone. And so I will slant this a little bit more towards commercial, but know that we will also have residential in here. So, okay. Really, when you're talking about generating leads, there are many ways to do it, and we're going to go over those. There are more traditional manners that we'll talk a little bit about, and then there's all types of new ways of generating leads using technology. But at the end of the day, it is really about getting your team together and with your everyday business, cultivating relationships to build brand awareness. Whether you're in a small community, a large metropolitan, or maybe regional or national, relationships are the start and end of every lead, of every customer. So that has to always be considered. But as we are looking at the different processes that come with the leads, really you need to remember that lead generation is two-pronged. It's first to attract the strangers, to bring in new people who are going to use your business services, and it's also to sustain and keep your current customers, whether long-term service and maintenance, whether ongoing re-roofing projects, or as referrals and testimonials for your business. So as we look at this process, this chart, the idea as we start generating these leads is to attract the strangers in, and we will talk about different forms of technology and some good old-fashioned lead generation, get them in as visitors and be able to give them a call to action, filling out a form, being a part of a conversation with you, so that those then can become leads that we can get to our sales team to close. Get the business. At the end of the day, that's what we want. That's why you get leads. And then, with a happy customer, continue to delight them with your marketing program. And then, as they refer to their friends, family, other business owners, other facility managers, the cycle starts all over again. So as we talk about the different methods, it's important to remember this process and that every part of it is crucial in order to have a very strong marketing program. So we're going to talk about a number of different types of lead generation. There's always, as you saw in that first picture, there's always the phone. Getting on the phone, making those phone calls, talking to the different past customers, current customers. But also, as you look at some of the more traditional types of marketing, you have your direct mail, you have your advertising, you have PR. And then we kind of move into some of the newer areas with email and social media. And as always, talking about the relationships, public speaking, and getting in front of those customers at meetings, at associations, through different community events is critical when you're looking at really getting people to finally make that call, to fill out that form. You need to build that relationship. And all of these types of processes and programs will help with that lead generation. But let's talk first about what do you do with the leads. So many people think, oh, the leads will come in, we'll have them, and then we sell them and we're done. But really, what you want to do is what we talked about earlier, is continuing to keep that relationship, especially in commercial. As you all know, long-term negotiated work is what you want. And you want to be able to understand who the facility manager is, who the building owner is, who's making the decisions for that building or for several buildings. And so you want to be able to have a good system in where to capture the leads and then start processing them. Several people use some sort of Outlook or Google Mail, as you see here. Other folks will use Excel documents or good old paper folders. But I recommend looking at software that will fit your business model. If you're commercial, look at some of the CRMs that are out there. I'm not going to mention any names particularly, but you will see them at the trade shows. You can find them online. But these are customer relationship management software and project management that helps you organize and keep your leads all the way through to as they become customers and beyond. It also tracks all their buildings, all their projects, all the bids. So everything is in one place so that as your marketing team brings in the leads, your sales team closes them, your production and operations provides excellent service, your warranty folks at the end and your accounting, everybody sees the same thing and you're able to continue to delight your customers with the best service. So definitely, if you do not have software, look at it as part of this program as you put your marketing together. And then, as we talked about before, it really comes to networking. And with the amount of commercial contractors that we have on this webinar, you all know how important that is. How do you get in front of the facility managers, and how do you get in front of the building managers? How do you get them to meet with your salespeople, to fill out forms, to put those together? And really that comes with relationships. And I'm going to say, first off and foremost, be sure that you're involved with your local associations that will help you meet the right people. BOMA, apartment associations, facility manager associations, whatever you're doing, whether if it's residential, your home shows, or county fairs, you need to be in front of those folks. And make sure you're branded, that you are going to these meetings with a booth. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to clutter or fill a booth with sample boards or with samples or with things that people really don't care about. You need it to be branded with your company name. You need to have very professional people working the booth who are going to visit with everyone who walks by, everyone who comes up to the booth, and they can really talk about the services that you provide and how you can take care of their problems, fix their pain. That's really what it comes through to. So when we're talking about generating leads, one of the more traditional ways of getting in front of them are at these shows, but there are ways to make something traditional new. And one of those is using technology. Many of you probably have seen aerial measurement reports. Several companies who do this, and several of them provide aerial imagery. This can also be captured with drones. So there are a number of ways that you may be able to start providing aerial imagery for your customers and give them that view. Everyone likes to look at it. Everybody gets kind of excited about it. And if you're working a home show, you may even be able to work with some of your providers or some of the software that we just talked about with your CRM or some of your project management. You may be able to print out reports right in the booth or email reports to their cell phone as they're standing there. The trick as you are looking to work with these customers and merging the more traditional marketing with the newer marketing is to be able to know that audience, understand, are they going to want some paper? Are they going to want it sent to their cell phone? How do I differentiate my company to this person so that they are interested, that they will engage with us, and maybe even bring them back? If you have a visualizer in the booth or you have maybe an app from one of the commercial manufacturers that you can show them and really provide that kind of technology that will intrigue that building owner, it really makes a difference and makes you stand out from your competition. And in the field, your salespeople, you want them to have those same types of apps. Make sure they have some sort of aerial imagery or aerial measurements, or that the software that you choose for the company overall is able to integrate into all of the smart devices. And make sure they have smartphones or have a tablet. But I've also talked to contractors, and this is more on the residential side, but sometimes there's people, like we talked about, who do not want to have it all electronic. They may want it to be printed out. So however you delight them will increase the opportunity for them to engage, to fill out a form, to make that phone call, to give your salesperson an appointment, and that helps gather those leads. So as you receive the leads, either from the field, some of you may still do some canvassing on the residential side, or through the association meetings, through just being working the neighborhood as you're re-roofing, all of those leads need to be coming into your CRM and put together. One little trick too that we've talked about in the past with canvassing, and in some neighborhoods this just doesn't work, but in some neighborhoods college students have a great opportunity to share new information, whether that is possibly solar, new types of shingles, looking at neighborhoods where the products are old, the roofs are old, and they're going to be looking for solutions. And especially once you get one job in a neighborhood, you want your information out because that's that brand and that's building that relationship again. Another place, a little bit more traditional, but one I don't want to leave out, is talking to your manufacturers or your distributors for leads. There are many out there who will do all types of, they get calls, they have homeowners or they have building owners, especially when you look at some of the larger roofing manufacturers. They have specifiers, architects, they will have roof consultants and building owners who are actually calling them, and those can become leads for your company. So anyone that you're working with, you need to be sure to talk to them about how they're generating leads for you. How can your company's name be on their website? How can you be part of their lead programs? There are companies that are also doing dealer opportunities where maybe it's an accessory for the roof. Maybe it's a type of product that will help enhance that roof. And they also are looking for contractors who really have a marketing mind, who will then take those products and take the leads and work them. So as you're thinking about generating leads, do not forget the relationships that you have in the industry, and be sure to talk to manufacturers, talk to your associations, talk to distributors. And as you go to the trade shows, look around for companies that are willing to help you with leads in your area. There are many out there. One note on this is there are also many companies that sell leads. I would recommend to do due diligence whenever you're looking at buying leads. You want to be sure that they are coming from legitimate services and that you are not going to be upsetting people in your community by running leads that maybe are not legit. So always be sure to check that out up front and make sure that where you're getting them from makes sense. Talk to other contractors, talk to the associations. They usually have a very good idea of who really is legitimate and who isn't. Now let's talk a little bit, and this is specifically for commercial, let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn. A lot of people say, well, I'm not sure if LinkedIn works for me as social media, and are people really reading it? What I see LinkedIn, this is one of the best places to connect with the people that you want to sell. So from a marketing perspective, the marketing person should be out there really promoting the company, making sure all the salespeople are on here, and it's worth looking at Sales Navigator as a lead generation platform. What will happen is, as you specify the types of people you are looking, you will be able to then identify facility managers, building owners, and you'll start being able to watch their behavior on LinkedIn. You'll be able to see what types of things are important to their company, and you'll be able to connect with them and start feeding articles and content to them to make sure that they are seeing that you have similar services that you can provide to help them fit their needs. And take care of them on a roofing side. Roofing is not something that people always think about up front, so getting in front of those building owners, getting in front of national accounts, using a system like LinkedIn in a combination with your marketing and your sales team can make a real difference. But this takes some time, it takes a commitment, and really, and I can't stress this enough, needs to be about your sales and marketing team working together to provide the content and for the sales team to do the prospecting so that you are finding the right people and getting good information. But this is a very, very strong tool. Let's talk a little bit about the websites. Websites, excellent place to generate leads. Of course, it is the business card of today. You have to have one. And we're going to do a little poll here, and we're just going to ask a couple questions about what you have on your what you have right now on your website with concerns to a blog or to a form. So you should be seeing that come up here in just a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to present as you are filling out that poll. So your website needs to, many of you, I'm sure, especially with many of the commercial contractors we have out there today, you are looking at, you may have a website that's a couple years old. Maybe it's 10 or 12 years old. One of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure to review your website yearly and make sure that it's reflecting your business. You want to know that you are able to really sell yourself without being there through your website. And that's going to mean being engaging. Who are you? Is it a family-owned business? How long have you been in business? Testimonials and job profiles of the unique and special jobs that or difficult jobs that you've done. Talk about safety. Talk about quality. Talk about your manufacturers. Really, consumers, building owners, facility managers, they are using this as their research. They're looking at this to see if you are a good fit for their company. So if you do not brand yourself or have the right information out there, you could have people visiting and leaving. The other thing that's really important to have on your website is make sure you have a form. Make sure you have some reason for them to fill out the form. Maybe it's to talk about a service and maintenance program. Maybe it's a free estimate, or maybe it's just a free inspection. That's something that will allow them to say, oh, I want more information about this company, and look, I'm going to get something. There's a call to action. Within that form, you can sometimes even ask some questions. I know one contractor who actually did a quiz of what kind of roof are you. This is more residential, but by the time the people filled out the quiz, which many folks are so used to doing now on social media and everything nowadays, they'd actually qualified themselves to the sales team, and it was fun in the process. With building owners, asking questions of, are they looking for service and maintenance? Are they looking for re-roof opportunities, maybe help with budgeting for the upcoming year? Whatever that may be, you don't want to ask too many because it may turn people off, but you can ask one or two usually, and don't make them required, and then if they fill them out, they do. If they don't, it's okay. So as you're going through this, the other thing that you really want to evaluate your website on, and that is critical for gathering leads, is the search engine optimization. So make sure as you are doing your website that you're looking at it and you've done an analysis on it. You know what you need. What are the keywords? Think about your audience and what you think they would type in to find you. Have your salespeople ask your customers, what would you type in to find us? You may be surprised. All those things become keywords that have to be included in the content, included in your website, so that you come up high on that first page. And that is a key place to be for lead generation. So you attract them with the information, attract them by being on that first page, you get them to your website, you educate them, you intrigue them, and they fill out the form, and it becomes a lead. Again, that process of making it engaging and taking them the rest of the way through. And one of the things also on SEO and just lead overall, this is obviously a picture of the Yellow Pages. A bit old, still useful in some markets, but really now it's about YP.com. Yellow Pages, YP.com. So now instead of a book, it's online. And there people are going there and searching for roofing. So again, as you look at the directories in your community or your region and in your associations, you want to make sure your company has accurate, up-to-date, and interesting directory listings, whether that's with the BOMA or the community, the Chamber of Commerce, within homeowners associations, and definitely within, obviously, Yelp, Angie's List if you're using that, Yellow Pages. Anywhere that you can get directories and have it linked back to your website will increase your SEO and also increase the potential of someone finding you in one of these many places because they're interested in what you're doing. And as we discussed, content, that is so critical. And so you really need to be looking at the content on your website and make sure it's interesting. So, Brad, are you still there?
I am still here. I did not leave, Heidi.
Perfect. My poll results are now not showing, so I was wondering if you could share that last poll with the results.
Sure, I think I can bring that up again. One moment. Do you see it, Heidi?
I do not. Would you mind reading it out loud?
Sure. So 62% of our audience indicated that they do utilize forms or blogs on their website. 35% indicated they do not.
Okay, great. That is wonderful. So for those of you who are utilizing the forms and the blogs, it is just critical. And the interesting thing about the blogs is that people are now using those for further research. So if you meet them, for example, as a commercial roofing contractor, what are the top 5 most important service items that should happen to a roof every year? You may have a purchasing agent or you may have a facility manager who's looking to make sure that they've really covered all their bases with the building envelope. And again, they have to handle the entire building. So that envelope, that roof may not be first thought. So by giving them some tips, some things that they can ask for, they will do that research. Or the purchasing agent may see the 5 things and then talk to the facility manager about that. So whatever you are doing on your blog, make it interesting, make it pertinent and educational. It shouldn't be promotional. It should be giving to your customers and your future customers information that will help them have a better or a great experience. So one of the things I do hear about blogs is, where do we get the content? I don't know. I don't know where, how do we keep fresh? Because if it's just one post from last January, people aren't going to come back. What I recommend is use your resources, first of all, associations. Go to the NRCA website. You're all members. Look at their blog. Look at their social media. Look at the information on their website. There is tons of information that comes out all the time from the NRCA that can be turned into interesting content for building owners or homeowners or facility managers. Also, look at your manufacturers and distributors. They put out excellent content, and they are doing this every day. And then finally, look at the overall media in the industry. Again, you will find information out there. And one trick is look at other contractors' websites across the country and look at their content. It's probably going to be pertinent to your area. Don't copy it verbatim because that's plagiarism. But if you want to, give them credit. Or if it's from the NRCA, just note it's from the NRCA. Or take the idea and rewrite it in a way that fits your region, your weather patterns, your environment. So those are places that it's very easy, a little bit of research every morning by your marketing person, and you should be able to find content to keep your blog very active. Most of the folks I work with, one good blog post a week is great. You don't want to do too much, but it's something then that can go out on social media. So it keeps it engaging, and it's being used tremendously for research. And at the end, what you really want is you want your customers talking for you. So as you talk to your customers, as the sales teams talks to them, ask for testimonials, ask for recommendations, have them really put that information out there about their experience with you, because other building owners, other homeowners, they're going to take that and they tend to trust that more than just hearing it from you. So as you look at projects, some of your customers who are just thrilled with your service and maintenance programs, thrilled with a new, very difficult roofing system that went in, or maybe some new solar or green roofing, anything that's a little different that may catch the attention, ask them if you can write a job profile, if you can quote them, and if they would also write recommendations. Sometimes they don't want to write it, but you can write it for them too. So just have that conversation and be sure to include that throughout your website and social media, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Before we get to social media, let's talk a little bit about lead generation with traditional media. So traditionally, television, radio, newspapers, business journals, magazines, and the internet, these were all ways to capture leads and to gather new customers, and they still work. Again, you need to really look at your audience and who you're going after. On the commercial side, getting into the business journal, having an ad in there with PR and some articles, possibly getting into some magazines in the local area that are going to go out that more business oriented, that facility management will see, BOMA, the apartments, different types of association publications. Those are all great places to advertise. One of the things that I would highly recommend is always whoever is asking you to advertise, or wherever you are currently, if you are advertising, you need to ask for the ad values. So what's an ad value? That is the ability to get free stuff with your advertising. So for example, on the residential side, if you are working with a TV station, they may have a morning show that you can be on. They probably have, well, they definitely have their web page and social media that you can also have your company be a part of. Maybe you can sponsor the weather or some upcoming community events. All of these items are potentials. They even have where you can do Google AdWords or multi-view on the internet through them, getting your name out there again. But you need to make sure that they are really looking at this all the way around. They understand your audience and they understand the keywords and your goals. When you put all that together, then you really are getting the best bang for your buck. Many people will just buy a couple of radio slots or television slots or maybe some Google AdWords, and they aren't getting full ROI or return on investment because they aren't getting the full package, and it needs to be sustained and it needs to take a while. Again, as you do this advertising or the free items that they bring with it, be sure that you are getting them to your web page, to your forums, to your phone, through your social media. All of those items, you want to continue them through the process, making sure that they have a call to action and that you have a way to capture that lead. And as I just mentioned, especially if you're advertising in business journals or in association newsletters, be sure that you are sharing your stories. So all that content that you've written for your website already, the job profiles, case studies, new hires, information about your company, ask the people locally if you can get that into the news. Now, if you're in a small market, you probably are going to have no problem, and they probably have all types of opportunities for you in that local newspaper. If you're in a larger metropolitan and you're looking at a business journal, you need to build that relationship, and you need to give them a reason to publish your information. So look for the unique opportunities. Look for something that has a very difficult job where safety was so important and taking care, and people is very visible, and the community is seeing it, and they're wondering what's going on here. Tell your story. Get that in the newspaper, and make sure that you brand it and they have a way to get a hold of you after it's in there. And continue to work with them. Getting your new salespeople into the newspaper, the local one, the business journal, again, it gets their name out there, it gets them known to different people. Getting them into that BOMA newsletter, but you've got to ask, and you need to provide that content. But it's a great way to supplement the advertising, to generate leads, and sometimes you can do just this. It just depends, again, on the publications and where you're at. So let's talk just a little bit about social media. Social media is huge, as many of you already know, and Facebook is one of the top. In fact, 42% of marketers report that Facebook is critical or important to their business. From a residential viewpoint, I think Facebook is absolutely necessary. You need to have a company page. You need to be active on it. From a commercial side, it's a good branding tool. Do I think it's critical? No. Brad, are we still on?
We are, Heidi. We still see you're in the news slide with the newspaper on it. I'm not sure if you're on the Facebook slide, or if you want me to launch the poll on social media, I can do that as well.
That would be great. Sorry, everybody out there, but I just had a thing that we lost connection, so I'm just going to make sure.
I just launched the poll, so hopefully everyone can see that now. Asking what social media does your company use, and you can select any or all of those that you utilize.
Perfect.
And we are getting votes in, so that's a good sign.
Great, and I also, now it says my connection is back, so we should be all good. Hopefully you'll see my screen.
A few more seconds here, and I'll close the poll.
So as you're sharing that information about your social media and what you're doing, I'll continue on, and we should be able to, talking about the Facebook, again, great for branding, but when it comes to generating leads for commercial, you're probably not going to see a whole lot from that. But on the residential side, depending on how you do and how engaged you are, you can see a tremendous amount of response.
Heidi, if you want, I can share the results now.
That would be great.
Okay, it looks like 75% of our audience uses Facebook, 54% utilizes LinkedIn, 33% Twitter, and 38% YouTube.
Great. That is awesome. And can you see my screen, Brad?
Yes, we are good.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that to everyone out there. So as we move on, and just from what you all have said here, 75% with Facebook, well, there are more than 1 billion people who have Facebook accounts. So for those of you who have a Facebook page, great job. Keep it up. It's important. And then looking at Twitter, we have 305 million active users per month on Twitter. And with 53% of you using Twitter, it really is an important source, but it's different. And what we've found is where Facebook is more about the pictures and about, really telling that story, being community involvement, Twitter is a quick punch. It tends to be interesting, pertinent, very of-the-moment information. And what we're finding is that the new generation of millennials really use Twitter, not just socially, but for research. So on the commercial side of things, it is very important to really look at your Twitter account. Make sure that you have the information about your company is pertinent. Think about your audience. This could be young purchasing managers or young facility managers who are doing research and looking at Twitter to see what's out there. I know for a fact that there are several large commercial national companies that have seen leads being generated through Twitter. So think of it as being very relevant of the moment, interesting articles, and interesting things that really that purchasing agent is going to want to know. National ability, whatever you may be, even on a local level, what types of projects you're doing, quick pictures, quick information of the moments happening now. So it's a little different way of thinking than Facebook, but they can be combined too so that you see it in both places. And studies have shown that 90% of people trust a friend's recommendation for a service or product versus 14% who trust advertisements. So as we talked about earlier with more of the traditional advertising with television or radio, Facebook has that connection where they feel that their friends, their family are referring. There's a referral feeling there. There's a trust level. And that is something that needs to be really looked at and a part of your branding and of your program. So it's not just about, hey, look at our company, but it's really about what have you done in the community? What have you done in the associations? What interesting things do you have happening on the roof? And those are the type of things that will start attracting people to your social media. Once they friend you and like you, be sure your salespeople are looking at those names because it could be someone they've been trying to get the door open with for years, and all of a sudden now they're a friend on Facebook and things can start being fed that way. Or maybe they're following you on Twitter so you can follow them. Those are soft leads that are very important leads for your business. And as you can see, most of you with what your poll is very reflective. Facebook at 43%, where we were at 75%, YouTube at 21%, and most of you at 38%. So YouTube may be an area, the videos, the ability to get information out there about products and services is really becoming a top form of research, along with what we've already talked about. But people can go in, customers, potential customers, old customers, they can go in and they can actually watch video to learn about that new solar system that could help them with their energy costs. You may be able to put a video on there about upcoming tax incentives that may help that commercial building owner. And it's just a quick hit. And once it's on YouTube, it can be shared on Facebook, it can be shared on Twitter. One thing just to always remember in this area is be sure that whatever pictures, whatever items you share in social media, that your safety is correct and that you've been very careful with privacy. So you do not want to put your best customer out there and have them upset and lose them over a Twitter post or a Facebook post. So, but again, when it comes to generating leads, this is the way to really look at these social media, see who's engaging with you, and engage them more. And this is, I thought, was really interesting. This was actually a post that was on the NRCA Facebook page yesterday. And again, look what the NRCA is doing. They're engaging you, the contractors, sharing with you the importance of Facebook, the importance of marketing. And so they're doing something that's pertinent to your business as they attract you to the NRCA to find out more. I thought this was really well done and great and wanted to share that. So we've talked about many things here with the website, with your advertising, with your social media, and I just want to talk a little bit about content again. But as we look at that content, really think about, we're going to revisit what we talked about earlier, is creating items of interest, whether that's articles, video downloads, web content, anything that attracts a visitor, and then gather contact information. Gathering that contact information allows you to continue to delight them and to ask for more referrals, more recommendations. Again, a company that I've talked to, they actually have a roofing contractor out of Seattle actually has a system of once the job is finished, once they've had a happy customer, they have a 3 to 6 month program of sending them thank yous and opportunities for referrals and for getting gift certificates and all different types of things. So even when the job is done, they're delighting them many months afterwards. And we're going to talk about e-news here just right after this slide, but that's really, you need to attract them through everything we've already talked about and then continue to engage them with the e-newsletters, possibly webinars like this. One of the reasons NRCA does such great webinars, white papers, e-books. It again keeps your customers involved and keeps them engaged. And then as your salespeople, as the marketing is working with sales, then you need to make sure to watch who's engaged and what they're doing. Those are leads. And then get more interaction, maybe a phone call, free assessment, demos, whatever it may be. And then obviously requesting the close or the proposal or the meeting, whatever that next step is. But marketing and sales working together to climb those stair steps to that final close of the project. And with the e-news, again, it's really amazing to look at what we're doing on the email front. Currently, 44% of email recipients made at least one purchase last year based on a promotional email. So that's that click from that email to your website form and following up. And on most email programs, you're also going to be able to see who clicked. So again, you're going to be able to watch that engagement. There's some great software out there where you can track email, social media, and website visits, and your salespeople can really see what your customers are looking for. What are they engaged in? And it helps with that to close those leads and to bring in more leads. 33% of recipients open email based on subject line alone. This goes back to the content. I know we keep hearing these same messages, but they're so important. Make it the subject line interesting. Make it something educational. It shouldn't just be promotional. Promoting yourself and being over the top just turns people away, but offering something, giving back to those customers, whether it's education, an offer, estimate, whatever it may be, something that gives them something is going to help them engage. And with an estimated 4.3 billion email accounts in use in 2016, email is the way that consumers are communicating. But make sure that's how your customers want to communicate. Email definitely is the lead. But some like text, some like social media, some like Facebook Messenger. So, and a lot of them will still like something in the mail. So take the time, we talked about this in the last webinar, of evaluating your customers and making sure you're communicating in all the ways that they want to communicate. And finally, with any good lead program, you need to track it. Because sometimes you may be getting leads and you may be able to say, oh, we've received all these leads, but they aren't closing, which means they're the wrong leads. So or they're possibly the wrong sales pitch. Never sure, but that needs to be evaluated. And you need to evaluate what's working. Where are you getting the most qualified leads? Not just the most leads, but the most qualified leads. As you look at that, maybe it's your email, your e-news campaign, maybe it's your social media, maybe it's a trade show, maybe it is that television advertising. But the only way to truly know is by tracking it. And that means every phone call that comes in, the question should be asked, how did you hear of us? The website forms, everything needs to have a form so you know where it's coming from. And even tracking on email inquiries, asking them, how did you hear about us? Those are the type of information that can really help with marketing and sales. And finally, one of the best lead generation is your own people. Make sure that your employees are brand ambassadors of your company, that they are talking to their friends and family, then the social areas, what they're doing in the schools or their churches. Make sure they are happy in talking about your company in a way that attracts more people to find you when they need a roof, whether it's flat or steep. Make sure that they know what your marketing team is doing. Make sure they understand the sales team, and make sure they understand the services and products and your value. Put that together. Put that in the hand of your employees so that they know and they can be your best salesman at any time. They are the brand ambassadors of your company. And again, we won't go over this again, but just one last look at it. Attract them, convert them, close them, and delight them. That is really what it's all about when it comes to lead generation, because when you delight them, you're bringing in more leads from the referrals and the branding and the good name that's out there, and the buzz will just explode around you. So that is it for today. We will open it up for Annie. And I'm going to open mine to see if there's any questions here. Also, I just want to mention that NRCA is also making available the Sales and Marketing for Roofing Contractors book that this series is based off of. It's available on the NRCA website under Marketing Resources. They are also, as Brad mentioned at the beginning, offering 30-minute consultations free of charge to all NRCA contractor members, where you and I can sit and talk about what you specifically are looking for, things that we didn't cover in the webinar, or maybe we haven't talked about, questions you may have. I know in the last couple months I've talked about wrapping trucks, we've talked about service and maintenance programs, so we really look to give you that time to kind of get some consulting time in, and that's courtesy of a benefit of your NRCA membership.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Heidi. As Heidi mentioned, now would be the time to enter any questions you have into the chat box. In the meantime, I will mention a few things here. Obviously, big thanks to you, Heidi, for your presentation today. Thanks to our audience, all of you who took time out of your day to join us. A few notes. As mentioned earlier, today's webinar is part 2 of a 4-part series presented by Heidi. Parts 3 and 4 will take place in September and December. Also on today's webinar, this has been recorded, or is being recorded, and will be posted to the NRCA website early next week. When it's available, you all will receive an email. And also be sure to check out our upcoming presentations, including next week's on best practices for developing your Latino leaders, and in 2 weeks on setting up job folders. Those are just a few of our upcoming webinars, and you can register for them and view recorded webinars at nrca.net/webinar. Looks like we have a few questions that have come in here, some comments, compliments, great webinar, excellent presentation. Heidi, one question that we have here is, what is your thought on direct mail and how often do you need to send? And this is from a commercial contractor.
Perfect. I was going to say whether commercial or residential. You know, I like direct mail, but I like it targeted. And I really think as you look at doing a direct mail campaign for facility managers, building owners, wherever you, depending on the area you're at, really look at targeting that in. For example, say that you're interested in maybe getting more medical work. Do a mailing just to facility managers in the medical area. And you can find that online. There are many magazines for facility management with hospitals or with clinics. And maybe you have a special way of, with product and safety, of really being able to do highly sensitive areas, and you would like to see more hospital work. Then do a direct mailer that is focused on that. Because if they get something that's just like, hey, we're a roofing company, we're great, talk to us, they again want information. So as you do that direct mailer, be sure to note on there for more information, or maybe give a little teaser about a job profile that you have on your website. Mass mail, direct mail, I think can be a waste of money, but a very well done direct mail campaign that is very rifle focused into the audience and into the topics, I think can be very effective. And one of the fun ways to do that too is, make it off size. Make a postcard that's really big, or do a nice large letter. Do something that will catch their eye, that will get past that receptionist and not end up in the garbage can.
Thanks, Heidi. Next question. We are developing our exposure to social media. What are your recommendations to expand our exposure on Facebook? This coming from a primarily commercial contractor.
Facebook has some excellent opportunities to promote your posts. So as you were trying to build your exposure in there, there's really two ways. One, to do a campaign to ask people to like you. And basically that's going down through your customers, knowing who they're happy, and this is on the Facebook, in the Facebook program, where you can click and you can send an invitation to someone to like your Facebook page. And then you can ask them to forward that. So there's a whole ability to like your website that's important. The second one is to be able to promote your post. Now, I wouldn't promote every post, but if you have a post that is really interesting, a great picture of new solar technology, or a great picture of a new EPDM beautiful, or TPO beautiful roof, something that's unique, and you want to get that out to a larger area, you simply go into Facebook and you promote it, and you can put in $25, $50, $100, however many times, and for every click it uses up that money, but it goes out to a much wider group than just the people who have liked your page, and it gives them an opportunity to like it. So that's why making it interesting, doing really engaging picture or video, people really like video, that, and then promoting that, then watch it and see what the results are. I'm a part owner also with Roofers Coffee Shop, and you will see huge amounts of where pictures will go viral. 11, 12, 13, 14,000 people looking at it and liking it, and it's something you just really had no idea they would be that excited about. So you need to evaluate it and watch it and see how viral it goes every time, and start tailoring it to those audiences. And also looking at the people who are liking your page and making sure they're the type of folks you want. Because if you are a commercial contractor and you're getting a number of residential or non-business, it may not be the right type of post. So again, designing it to your audience and then targeting it through that promote to make sure you have the right audience in there will can really help you grow your Facebook presence.
Thank you, Heidi. Our next question is, what do you think can make you stand out at a trade show, something new and different? And again, this is coming from a commercial contractor.
I would, technology. I just really believe technology makes a big difference. So for a commercial contractor, I would have monitors, and I would show my portals. So hopefully you're using some sort of software where you have your job management and you have customer portals. with those customer portals, it will show all of their buildings, and it will show all the updates, and it will give them instant communications when they need it. Well, if you have that on a big monitor in the booth and a building owner is walking by looking at this, all of a sudden they're starting to see how this can streamline what they do for their facility management or their purchasing agent to be able to go directly in that portal, get all the information and see it. That differentiates you. So show that. Anything you do in your company that makes you unique, and ideally if you can show it through an app, through a monitor, through reports, maybe you do amazing inspection reports that are just that different. Get them up there big so that the building owners and the people are attracted, the facility managers see that and understand that that's something that could solve some of their problems. So you don't need to fill your booth full of product, but if you have a great new something on solar, again I say that, or a green roof, you know, everybody likes to see green, you know, if you have some sort of mock-up that you can show in there, that makes a big difference. And be sure to brand your booth. Keep it simple, keep it nice looking, clean, and attractive, and really look at it and think, what would attract you into that booth? That's probably what's going to attract those building owners.
Okay, next question is, how do you get the contact information for facility managers in order to target your mailing to them?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be one of your best ways. If you can get it, as you get into LinkedIn and that sales navigator, and you put in the territory, the area, the type of, you want facility managers or you want building owners, you will be able to prospect and find that information and engage them to, you know, have them fill out, give you their information. But that takes some time. The other way I would do it is through your local associations, whether that's BOMA or your Chamber of Commerce or anything that has to do with obviously commercial roofing. As you join a member there, you're going to get a directory of all the members, and then so those are the two places I would start with. Brad?
Sorry, Heidi. Admittedly, I forgot to unmute myself. I probably shouldn't tell anyone that, right? I just did. Oh, shoot. So I was talking to nobody there for a second, but those are all the questions we have for now. You see Heidi's contact information on the screen if something comes up last minute. But that's all we have for today. Thank you again to Heidi. Thank you again to all of you for joining us. And we hope you register for future NRCA webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much, Brad.